Okay, so I basically want to start off by showing you guys this concept called E. Now, the thing is, most of you guys probably already uh, had it explained, or not explained to you. You guys have probably worked with it last year in IM3 Advanced. However, uh, if I were a betting person, I bet you that it was not explained to you uh, how the number E became around 2.71. Okay, E stands for Euler's number. If you were to Google it, okay, if you were to Google it, how do I find Euler's number? It is basically roughly, it's like pi, except it is 2.71 repeating with a whole bunch of, with a string of randomized numbers going all the way down. Okay, that's Euler's number. So most of you guys know E is something that rounds out to around 2.72. Okay, but how is this E, how did E come about? Okay, all right. So if you want a shortcut to memorize, E is a function something like pi. It is a number that just keeps on going on and on forever. However, unlike pi, it's not 3.14 blah blah blah. It's 2.71 blah blah blah. Okay, but let's explain how E works. Okay, now we're going to start from scratch. Okay, let's say I give you, okay, let's say you invest in Chen's Bank. You invest $1, okay, in Chen's Bank. Okay, Chen's for 1 year compounded. Actually, let's ignore compounded at 1 year, and Chen's Bank gives you 100% interest rate. Okay, all right, so let's say you invest $1 in my bank for 1 year and I give you 100% interest rate. Okay, now what that means is this $1, okay, is going to go to principal. Okay, the 1 year is going to go to time. The 100% interest rate, we're going to put that as a decimal, which means it's 1.00, goes to R. Okay, N is going to default to 1. Okay, N is going to default to 1. So if N basically talks about, it means compounded, but if it doesn't mention anything about compounding, it defaults to 1. Okay, so as of right now, what I have is, okay, $1. Just plugging in the formula, $1 for P. 1 is already constant. R is 1.00 as a decimal. N is 1. N is 1. T is also 1. Okay, and you're going to find that, so 1 times 1, let me just simplify this over here. Okay, this is going to equal to, I'll put it down here as a simplified version, 1 and then 2, the whole parentheses becomes a 2, the exponent becomes 1, okay? 2 to the power 1 is 2, 1 times 2 is 2. So at the end of the year, you get $2, okay? Using this formula, you get $2, okay? And that actually makes sense if we use our common sense. If we use our common sense and you invest and you give me, what I actually should have done before the formula is use common sense first, but it's okay, it doesn't matter what order I do this in. Let's use common sense right now. If you give me $1 and I say, hey, after a year, I'll give you 100% interest rate, that essentially means at the end of the year, I'll give you $1 extra for just interest. And if you add that with your previous dollar you gave me, 1 plus 1 is 2, and that is confirmed by this formula. So our common sense says that I will give you back $2, okay, at the end of this at the end of the year, okay? And that is confirmed by the formula, okay? I just want you to have faith in how this formula works, okay? All right, now, let's say I only give you 50% interest rate. Let's play around with some numbers, okay? 50% interest means this would be a 0.5, okay? And this would become a 1.5, okay? Which means this becomes a 1.5. All right? Now, what if it were, let's just keep on going with something that you already know. What if it were 0.25? Okay? If it were 0.25, then this would be 1.25. This would be 1.25. Okay? Let's play around with some more numbers, okay? Let's keep it as 1. Actually, no, let's keep it the way it is. Let's pretend this were 2. Okay, you kept it in my bank for 2 years, then you would change t to 2, and this would be 2. This would be 2. Okay, then this would be 1.25 squared, whatever the heck that is. Okay, that would be 1.5625. Okay, 1.5625. Okay, now let's pretend. Now let's talk about some compounding now. I just want to play around with different numbers just so you know how we can change up T, R, and you can even change up P. If you gave me $2, by the way, let's say you gave me $4 in the beginning, then that means your P would change to 4, okay, and it would change to 4 here, okay? And then this would change to something else. I think it's 5.25, okay? It would change to 5.25, okay? Now, let's say we bring in the concept of compounding. Let's say I tell you it's compounded, okay? Compounded every 3 months, okay? Every 3 months. So how would you do this, okay? Every 3 months means the way you plug it in for n, I should say, is you ask yourself how many 3-month intervals are there in a year? Okay, how many 3-month chunks are there in a year? Okay, there's 4 3-month chunks in a year. So that means this would be 4. This would be 4. This would be 4. And this would be 4 because 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, let's say I say every 2 months. How many 2-month chunks are there in a year? The answer is 6. Okay, and this would become 6, and this would become 6. Okay, all right. So, and by the way you plug this in your calculator, you plug it in exactly like how you see it. Okay, you plug it in exactly like how you see it. Sometimes how you see it is not how you plug it in. The convenient thing about this one is how you see it is exactly how you plug it in. Okay, I want you guys to go ahead and, I want you to fill in this chart, if I can find it. Okay. Here we go. I want you to use this formula and plug it in for each one of these scenarios. Okay, and we're using $1, you invest, let me write it down like this, invest $1 for 1 year at 100% interest rate. Okay, let me put a white, I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so for the first one, for yearly right here, okay, I'll plug it in right here. So The only thing that's going to change from each line, okay, we're basically creating a chart right now. Okay, boom, boom, and so on and so forth. Okay, for the first line for yearly, okay, you are going to do $1 goes in for P, 1 year goes in for T as in Tom, 100% interest rate goes in for R as 1.00, and the only thing remaining is N. Okay, in this case, yearly means it happens once a year. Okay, which means N would be 1, and N would be 1 here. Okay. Every 6 months, okay, every 6 months, the P, okay, okay, for all of these going all the way down the list, the P, the R, the T, the Paul, the Ryan, the Toms all stay the same because this is fixed, this is given. The P, the T, the R stays the same. Okay, because this is what's given in the problem. The only thing that's going to change on every single line is the N, okay, which is the compounding. So every 6 months means that happens twice a year, okay, which means N is going to be 2, okay. Every 3 months means it's going to happen 4 times a year, which means N is going to be 4, okay. N is going to be 4 in that case, all right. And so on and so forth. You're going to go all the way down. You're going to go all the way down till seconds in a year. How many seconds are there in a year? Okay, and you're going to plug in this. You're going to plug those numbers in a calculator and give me the final amount. So we're going to create a chart together. Okay, we're going to create a chart together. Okay, so go ahead and do that for each one. Remember, your P, your T, and your R stay the same exact thing. It's the only thing that changes is your N going all the way down. Okay, that's the only thing that changes. Let me get all this crap out your way. Okay,